You did everything right. You worked the shifts. You paid the bills. Yet you're still running on a treadmill that someone else is speeding up. You're not failing the economy. The economy was programmed to fail you. While you're staring at a denied notification at 2 in the morning, an algorithm you never agreed to is deciding if you deserve a future. It's not about your latte. It's about a rigged digital architecture. Let's stop blaming your willpower and start looking at the silent artificial intelligence code that's effectively locking the gates of the middle class. Let's look at the cold, hard numbers of David's life, the ones the bank sees, but the news ignores. He is 32 years old, making $75,000 a year. A decade ago, that income was the American dream. Today, after taxes, David brings home roughly $4,800 a month. Now we do the real-world arithmetic. $2,200 immediately vanishes for a basic one-bedroom apartment. $600 goes to his car payment and insurance just so he can physically get to work. $800 gets eaten up by groceries and basic utilities. $400 is automatically siphoned off for student loans. David is left with $800 for an entire month. For his future, his emergencies, his entire life. When David is exhausted after a 50-hour workweek and taps a button to order food delivery, or when he buys a $1,200 mattress using a buy now, pay later app called Klarna, it is not stupidity. It is a survival mechanism. He is paying what I call the burnout tax. He isn't buying a luxury item. He is literally trying to buy a decent night's sleep. He is paying a premium just to feel a fleeting sense of comfort in a world that demands all his energy. That app, that incredibly easy checkout button, is a Silicon Valley dopamine trap. It was engineered by some of the smartest behavioral psychologists on Earth to extract whatever remaining liquidity David has. The wage stagnation leaves him tired, and the trap offers a temporary comfort. But the system is watching, and it does not view David's exhaustion with empathy. Fast forward a year, David has managed to save up a modest down payment. He applies for a mortgage on a small condo. He is ready to step out of the renting cycle and start building a runway for his future. But he gets that email at 2 in the morning. Denied. Why? His credit score is decent. He hasn't missed a single payment. We need to look closely at the invisible architecture of modern finance. Imagine a giant, silent eye scanning every digital footprint you leave behind. Today, fintech algorithms and artificial intelligence credit scoring systems, powered by the fear of default and advanced models from places like Anthropic, aren't just looking at whether you pay your bills. They are analyzing your behavior. Surveillance capitalism has evolved. When David used that buy now, pay later app for his mattress, he thought he was just spreading out his payments to manage his cash flow. The algorithm, however, tagged that specific transaction. To the artificial intelligence, using short-term installment loans for consumer goods signals impulsive behavior. It automatically flags him as a high-risk borrower. Even though he paid it off perfectly on time, the algorithm doesn't care about his honesty or his hard work. It detects algorithm bias based on millions of data points and decides that David fits the profile of someone who might default in a recession. They are silently stealing his future, not based on his failures, but based on non-traditional data that he didn't even know was being weaponized against him. The news says the GDP is soaring, but your bank account says it's a lie. They are right, for the people who own the system. But what David is experiencing, what you might be experiencing, is the rise of algorithmic feudalism. Institutional capital and financial giants are using artificial intelligence to build invisible walls around the middle class. They are quietly constructing a society where millennial and Gen Z workers are systematically denied the right to own assets. Whether it is a home, a piece of land, or the capital to start a small business, the gates are being locked. The system prefers you as a permanent renter. They want you as a micro-consumer, subscribing to everything, owning nothing, and continuously feeding your income back into the machine just to maintain your baseline existence. A credit rejection today isn't merely a financial setback. It is a tool for social control. It is a digital class barrier, ensuring that class mobility remains a distant memory for most. The algorithm demands that you stay in your lane, quietly paying your subscriptions, wearing digital golden handcuffs, forever renting your lifestyle while they own the underlying assets. In the past, your feudal lords controlled the physical land, and the peasants worked it for the right to simply exist there. Today, the land is digital. The lords are algorithms, and your spending data is the harvest. Your credit score is no longer a simple measure of trust. It has mutated into a strict caste system. The fact that you were born into an inflationary economy, facing stagnant wages while navigating a maze of algorithm traps, is not your fault. You did not ask to play on a tilted board. But refusing to play by their rules, refusing to willingly hand over your data and your labor to this machine, is entirely your responsibility. We have to stop looking at money as just pieces of paper or digits on a screen that we need to frantically hoard. Money is the physical manifestation of your life energy. It represents the hours you spent away from your family, the stress you carried home, the literal time you traded. Financial autonomy isn't about buying a luxury car to show off. It is about buying back your own life energy. It is about building a runway so you can finally breathe. You cannot control the macroeconomic policies, but you have absolute control over your own responsibility boundary. You have the power to opt out of the invisible architecture designed to drain you. Let's use their own legal framework against them. Whenever you are rejected for a loan, a credit limit increase, or an apartment, you must immediately request an adverse action notice. By federal law in the United States, financial institutions are required to provide this. This document forces the black box to spit out the exact reasons for your rejection. It forces transparency onto a system that thrives in the dark, showing you exactly what the algorithm flagged. But here is the tactical pivot. We must starve the algorithm. You have to completely sever ties with all buy now, pay later services. Delete Klarna, delete Affirm, remove the autofills from your web browser. Stepping away from these traps is not about tightening your belt or living a miserable life of deprivation. It is an act of digital camouflage. It is how you become invisible to the artificial intelligence's risk assessment. We are building what I call a clean spending profile. You want the algorithm to look at your data and classify you strictly as top-tier financial elite. You do this by hoarding defensive liquidity. You stack cash. You rely on simple, predictable compound interest. And you keep your transactional footprint incredibly boring. You don't need a complex, flashy portfolio. You need steady, boring, mathematical patience. You let the absolute magic of compound interest do the heavy lifting, while you keep your behavioral data completely sterile. You outsmart them by playing a longer, quieter game. The system has already automated the extraction of your wealth. It is working 24 hours a day to map your habits, predict your moments of exhaustion, and limit your boundaries. It is time for you to automate your resistance. Escaping algorithmic feudalism does not happen overnight, but it starts the very moment you decide to look behind the curtain and understand how systemic wealth is actually built and protected. Join the awakening. We are going to keep dismantling these invisible walls together. One piece of code, one honest financial truth at a time.